Okay. All
But
right.
anyway,
But
just
anyway,
because, so I was just trying to, yeah, freeball it. I was trying to like
yes.
figure out from my brain, which is, by the way, all over the map. So look at what I did. I brought
So,
this.
okay. So let me
Okay.
tell you one of the things I'm figuring out. Okay, go ahead. Show me that.
No, there's
What the
nothing
hell
on
is
it.
this?
I
There's
brought the
nothing on there.
whiteboard in. Yeah, because I was
Oh,
like,
you brought it
ah.
in to do that. Okay. But the truth is, with automation, you can be making way more from your books because you can be automating everything from ads to, I mean, to just everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And have a lot of it running on autopilot. And yeah, you have to check. There's human intervention stuff you have to check, but way less than you have to do without it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so Encharge is really the email part of that list. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so so anyway, I guess we should start. Hey everybody,
Yeah.
guess what? Today, Stacy and I are going to do a walkthrough of a program called Encharge. It's funny because, well, I'll tell you the story in just a minute, but I got this program years ago and it didn't work for me. And then it came back to AppSumo with new owners and some new features and some new stuff that's happening with them. And it is actually amazing. So we're going to walk through some of the stuff that this can do. But anyway, so here's me, here's Stacy. We do our print to pro things all the time, but this is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be doing
Mm-hmm.
some software reviews of things that are designed really to take you as an author to a different level as far as automation and some things like that, and do it without breaking the bank. And this is the kind of the whole point of this particular exercise. So I'm going to tell you, I'm an affiliate for AppSumo. So if you click on the little link below the video, I get a few pennies. You're actually buying me a coffee or whatever. But the other thing that I'll say is I'm not going to come on here and blow smoke and tell you about programs that I don't use or that I don't like as a part of this type of thing. So I'm doing some reviews of AppSumo stuff, some reviews of other type of software too. But anyway, so with that, I'm just going to share my screen and tell me your thoughts, Stacy, on in general
Okay.
uh, automation and email lists and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm excited to see what you're going to show us because yeah, this is stuff that, I mean, I've been using, gosh, it's almost, I'm almost embarrassed to admit it, but I've been using MailChimp for years.
Wow.
And I know, and yeah, nothing against the platform as far as like its operations. It has its place, but it is expensive. And since I've just started growing my email list, every time I get a new subscriber, I always get a little nervous because I'm inching closer and closer to that threshold. So it's always like one of those things where I'm like, still I'm getting
Oh,
so I'm always going in there and cleaning and scrubbing out the spam emails and trying to make sure I don't go over that number. But it's kind of embarrassing to say that because yeah, I've been working on my business now for 7 years and I'm just like thresholds scare the crap out of me. And they shouldn't. That's a good problem to have. But it's definitely gets pricey, and especially when you're an author that's not making anything, that can be frustrating. So I'm excited to see what you've got and like what you're going to show us because this is all um I want to know how this works for authors the best way possible so I know what to refer them to when they're coming into the system. So that's
right.
awesome.
Okay, well, first, so before I get to these flows are really where the money's at, but I'm gonna start over on this section as well because this is a section. So this is just one that I've imported some people into. I haven't
Okay.
put a lot of people through these flows yet because I'm still building them. But you can see your dashboard gives you a bunch of data about like how many people are in this list. This is my author list. It's not even all of my author list because I brought in some people to test them
Okay.
and see what's happening. So I've only run a few people through this. You can see that there's only a few delivered and a few opens. Those are me. Just to let you know, that's a part of me testing the flow. So those are all my email addresses. All the rest of these people don't even know at all what's happening yet. And that's fine because also part of this is that I've switched domains as well. For a lot of years, my author services on that domain and my stuff for my fiction and writing were both on the same domains, which is if you're an author who also provides author services, this is generally not a good idea. It really does split your audience and it creates a really super complex website. Mine was super heavy. It was just, it needed to be retired and changed. So this is tied, and we'll talk about how this works in a minute, is tied to the plotabides.com, which
Mhm.
is my new place for go-to for author services. Okay, really embracing the whole plot dude thing. I should be wearing my sweater right now, but it's kind of warm in my office, so screw that. But anyway, so, but this is your dashboard. It shows you some really basic information about what's happening. Okay. But it gives you some analytics, like how many of the people that opened this, how many people clicked. Well, two of them, because on one of them I didn't click on purpose to see what that did to my flow, right? So two opens, two clicks out of three. That's 66.7%. That's a pretty good click-through rate. But you can see replies. You can have this system track replies. So even if they reply to your email and you answer that email out in your normal email service, it can tell you somebody replied this. It can tell you that somebody unsubscribed. This is if somebody skipped a step in your chain. Spam reports, this is kind of important. You don't want to get any of these. So you want to be really careful when you're moving your list over. Soft bounced and bounced. Bounced stuff, what that means is if your emails are bouncing off somebody's email, you just want to get rid of that email because clearly they're not getting it, right? They're not even
Right.
getting your emails. It's not even arriving at all. So you want to get rid of those people, or if it's even if it's soft bouncing, okay? And then your activity stream, and it talks about, who went through the site tracking, visited the plot abides. So this shows activity from your website because my website's connected to this. We'll show that in
S-
just a minute as well.
So
So what
so
that can do,
yeah,
yes,
let me ask a question. Scroll up again.
scroll
Like when
up.
you scroll
Okay.
down or down, yeah. Like here in your flow,
Uh-huh.
is this your actual like is this your like automation set like step one, this is what they're gonna do get, step two, this is the click, step three. What
Well,
is this on the
no.
left
So
here?
this is telling me what has happened in my emails, and this is telling me what's been happening through my website tracking. And what
Oh,
that
okay.
does is if somebody visits a certain page on your website, or like if you want to set up things for cart abandonment, somebody came in, they
Hmm.
put something in their cart, and they left your website, right? So they're
Okay.
buying a book directly from you, and they leave your website. Through this site tracking, it will tell me that they went to this page, and it'll tell me what they did from that page.
Nice.
Right.
Okay.
And uh, so basically it tells me about their activity on the site, but then I can turn this into an action point. I can say anybody who visited the dude's bookstore, the plot abides, I can take, again, this was me. So, I don't want to
Right.
necessarily do this, but if that person left their information on my site, I can take this if they're registered and they have an email address that's on my list, and I can say, hey, I saw you visited the bookstore. Did you find what you were looking for? And so I can actually create an automation that's based on what they do on my website and what they do in the email flow. So,
Nice. Okay.
so it's kind of like ConvertKit does similar things. So do some of the
Mailchimp does,
fancier
yeah.
things. MailChimp does now, but MailChimp has gotten very expensive. So first of all, let's talk about price really quick before we go any further. So this was on a deal on AppSumo. It was on a discounted deal for a little while. Now it's on a deal where it's for most authors, all you will need is the $109 level. Okay, the
Okay.
$109 level is 5,000 up to 5,000 subscribers.
Is that if that's $109 a year or a month?
Total,
Wait,
total,
wait,
lifetime.
it's still
It's
lifetime?
still lifetime. So it's
What?
109 lifetime for 5,000 subscribers. Now, if you're like me and you have several things going and you're already close to 5,000 subscribers and you might be over relatively soon, then you're going to want to go up a level. Now, when I bought this, so I bought this in 2020, and I paid for tier 4, which was I can have 25,000 subscribers. I get a whole bunch of different things, but there are some things that do not work in this version for me because they are premiums that have been added since I bought this and since new owners took over. But most of those are things that I actually don't need. It doesn't really matter.
Oh,
So
wait, no. This does say on their website it's $129 a month billed yearly.
on AppSumo, or
Yeah.
on their
Oh no, no,
website.
on Encharge. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's still
if
on
you go
AppSumo?
directly to Encharge, it's still on AppSumo. If you go directly to
Ah,
Encharge, it's
okay.
way more expensive.
Yeah, way more.
It's
So,
still cheaper than MailerLite and MailChimp at that level of subscribers right now. So depending
hmm.
upon your level, but also I will tell you this from experience that moving from mail provider to mail provider can be a pain. Now,
Oh
in
my
this
gosh.
case, it was pretty simple.
So much about really?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. But anyway, and except for there's a couple things that uh this program is super picky on, and I'd like that. Okay, so
Mm.
I'll just tell
Show
you
us
that
that.
right now. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll show you that right now. But anyway, okay, so this is your homepage. You can see activity streams. Again, you can see what's happening on your website. You can see what was happening in your lead flow. If you have people running through um, your flows, which we'll look at in just a minute. Okay. Stuff like that. Okay. So now we're going to skip flows for the moment because we're just going to move over to, well, first we're going to talk about settings. Okay.
Okay.
So within this, you can have several sender email addresses as long as your domain is verified. Now, also, you can have several sub accounts. So you'll notice that I have my current one, which is for the plot abides. This is for Reader's Hamlet, which is the project
Hmm.
Stacy and I are working on. This one's for the Solitaire series, and this one is my main list,
Hmm.
right? And there's some overlap between these two. Well, anyway, that's a long story. But and this isn't even everybody pulled in here. As I've said, those are the reasons I'm testing things before I bring people in and just throw them into this mix.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
But anyway, okay. So you can see so far I've got this is the number of people that I've got in here. No problem. I can have up to 25,000. I'm not even worried about it. Okay. But you can, when you're coming in here, you can import people. Now, the way you import people is you go to MailerLite or whatever, and you export those people that have applied or that have uh,
Subscribed.
subscribed. Okay. And then you put them in a CSV file and then you upload it here. When you
Nice.
upload
Okay.
a new CSV file, basically it'll ask you, the second step is to map fields. So you tell it where the email is supposed to go, where
Mhm.
the names are supposed to go. That depends on what that export looks like from your mail provider. If you need help with that type of thing, you can always, I do consultations about that. I'm not cheap necessarily, but I'm fast, so I can make your stuff happen for you. Okay. But anyway, so you can import people there. Okay. And that when you're in a certain account, when you're down in here and you're in a certain sub account, the only place it would bring people into is the one that I'm in right now. If I wanted to switch to another one, I can hit switch to account. I'm not going to because my flows, the big flows are in this one, and that's what I want to show you in part.
Right.
Um, so yeah, but you can have general categories of emails. Now, generally, there's a few different categories: marketing emails, transactional emails, and then there are new newsletter emails.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
cool.
So these are marketing related. So this is your marketing stuff. I'm trying to sell something. This is transactional. So this is sent to contacts after they performed a certain action, like they bought something off your website. You say, "Hey, that's a transactional email," and you send them an email that says, "Hey, thanks for downloading this," or "Here's your link to download this," or whatever the case may be. So this is generally tied to whatever platform you have your transaction type stuff going on. And then there's newsletter emails as well, which you can add a category and just and call it whatever you want and add
Hmm.
that category. Okay. So you can add different categories. Okay, you can add different sender addresses. This I have one right here right now, but if I add another one, as long as it ends with theplotabides.com, I'm good. Because I went through this process of domain verification, this is one of the things I want to talk to you about. So if you add a domain, let's just say I'm going to add domain.com, even though I'm not actually going to do that. Okay. When you do that, um, uh,
Somebody's already used
oh
it.
man, yeah, that's funny. So I'll go with my old
Old
one
one.
that I have not added yet. Okay. Because I'm not going to. Okay. Now what comes up is this screen right here. You must put all of these records onto your website in the back door, in the back part of your website. There's a lot of tutorials tell you exactly how to do that. But the reason I really like this is this keeps spammy people from using this particular platform. You have to
Nice.
go through a lot of work, a fair amount of work to get all of these things to go onto your website. Okay.
Hmm.
So, um, let's see, domains are not able to send emails from this domain. Please check the policy on this domain to mark from. So this means that it's already detected stuff in this
Hmm.
domain that I would have to go in the back door
And
of my
remove.
website and change.
Hmm.
Okay. So in this case, I don't actually want this domain, so I'm going to delete it out of there. But that's part of the policy that you have to do to get your domain verified. Again, I really like that. It keeps people from doing all kinds of wacky stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, fonts, you can add all kinds of fonts. You have your own account, your billing, your team members. You can actually add team members. I think I can add up to 10 or something like that. It's pretty ridiculous number of that I can add.
Yeah.
So I can add virtual assistants, stuff like that. But with some of the other automation stuff that I'm doing, I don't necessarily need to do that. Okay, it's actually pretty dang cool. Okay, so this is kind of all you can sync your data. There's all kinds of apps that you can add. Facebook is one of them. You can add Slack. You can add Calendly. You can even add Mailchimp, but I don't know why you would.
I don't know why you
Um,
would.
Intercom, ChargeBee, WooCommerce, you have to upgrade, but right now I'm going away from using WooCommerce for a lot of other stuff. Zapier, all kinds of stuff like that, Pabbly Connect. But there are also other ways to connect. You can suggest the next app. I've suggested a couple to them, but even using the one automation program that I have, I can connect to this program just using an API. I don't necessarily need them to have this available. But
Okay.
actually, what I'm doing most of the time is using Google Sheets because anyway, that's it
Because
makes it
it's
really
free
easy.
and
It's
easy.
it's free and easy, and this makes it really easy for when you want to import something into this program, you can do it super easily. And the fact that you can integrate Facebook and stuff like that gives you some other things to do. You can data sync, you can add all kinds of tags. So what I do is you add tags to people that are coming into this list,
Hmm.
right? So they're all Plot Dude subscribers, but as they go through through the flow, which you're going to see in a little bit, then new tags will be added to their name. Okay. Again, you'll see the Plotabides quiz taker. There's a couple of people that have been added to that. Why? Well, because they took the quiz. And
Hmm.
we'll talk about that in just a minute. But that is that quiz, and then a booklet you can send after that is the lead magnet for this site. So again, this is a nonfiction, so it's a little bit different than the fiction side. But this is all the tags. Now, there's a couple different folders. This is the Plotabides tags, and this is for build your own editing business, a class that we're going to run this summer. So there's tags involved into that too. You'll notice when we get to the flows that there's those tags are not enabled yet because I don't want people looking at that yet. Now, this is the other thing you can do. You go into your site and you click this and put it in your header folder, header file. If you don't know how to do that, um, Google
You
it
can go to
or get somebody to
YouTube.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah, get
YouTube
somebody to help
University is
or
amazing.
yeah, get somebody to help or Google it, whichever the case may be. And then you can actually track forms on your site too. We'll talk about that in just a minute, though, because there's just some great stuff in this program. Okay, so you can track forms on your site, but you can track what people are doing on your site, right? Like you saw on the original dashboard there.
Right.
Okay, and then you have general emails. Really, the only setting in there is whether you want UTM tagging or not. That just gives you some tracking information. Um,
What is UTM tagging? What is that?
so UTM tagging, it'll tell you right here. It tags all the links in your emails with UTM source who sent the email. UTM medium is the marketing channel
Oh.
used who sent the email. UTM campaign. And so when they open that, all this data comes back to this program.
Oh, very
So it
cool.
tells
Okay.
you they opened it. So even if they're using something like Apple Mail, which isn't supposed to track anything, it still tracks things, some things. It can't track everything, but that's fine. I actually like that Apple has that privacy and not that other thing. Okay, I think we went through all these other things. You can change fonts.
Yeah.
You can add, different email fonts if you want. You can
For
drag
your
and drop
branding. Hmm.
custom fonts, whatever it is you need to do if they don't have the ones in here that you want to use in particular. whatever the case may be. Okay, so that's all of that. You'll notice across the top, we're going to go across rewards. Doesn't really, you can get a bunch of bonus subscribers if you get, if you're an affiliate, all that kind of stuff for them. Right now, I'm affiliate for them through AppSumo, not directly, because I think it's a much better deal. And especially for authors getting a lifetime deal. So 109 bucks for a lifetime is basically what you'd pay for MailChimp for 3 months, or yeah, for MailChimp or MailerLite for 3 months if you have a decent sized list.
Right. Yeah. I
So,
mean, that's crazy.
anyway, but anyway, so you can become an affiliate for them. You can show for them, same as I'm doing right now. Again, I don't do this because, I trying to make a buck. I'm doing it because I actually like this program. But anyway,
Because you're using
okay.
it. Yeah.
So you can manage tags. You can manage custom fields because of the program that I have. I don't get custom fields because I bought this a long time ago. And then you can manage your settings, which again will take you over here, and you can manage certain events. Which this means you can do HTML code in your website, and when the user does something, again, you can see that. If you're tracking your site already, you don't really need to do that. You have your metrics here. This will tell you your flow metrics and your email metrics. So who's opening what, who's going a certain distance in the flow. This is forms. You can create forms here in Encharge, right? And then paste those forms onto your website and it brings stuff right in. But you don't have to
Wow.
do that because these forms are somewhat limited
Oh,
in what
okay.
they're able to do. Okay, these are
Okay.
somewhat limited, but you can use any other form that you want. And we'll show you
Okay.
that in flows. Now, emails, when you click here, this is every single email that you created. So you can create folders for sure to separate these
Hmm.
out. And that's something I should for sure do. Because some of these will be regular emails and some of them are emails in your flows. Okay.
Right. Right.
A broadcast is like the normal email that you would send through MailChimp or MailerLite. This is your newsletter, right?
Hmm.
So you're going to create a broadcast. And that's just a newsletter,
Yeah. It's
essentially.
well, it's
Um,
an email that you can send out to every email address. And can you, I mean, I know
you can
on
segment them
certain mail,
out.
you can
Yeah.
segment it by
You
tag
can
and
send this only to certain segments. You can do whatever you
cool.
want. So there are ways to do this. Like for instance, if I go in here and I create a broadcast, I can A/B test as well. But what
Hmm.
I can do is I set the name, and let's say it's a solitaire. This would be in my other flow, but anyway, let's say it's a solitaire episode. Okay. And I want to create that. And I have a number. Okay. I can do
Ah,
all
see, there you
people,
go.
or I can do people in a certain segment. And then I choose what
Nice.
that segment is going to look like. You continue to the email. Um, and we'll just talk about this drag and drop editor or simple editor. I highly recommend you use the drag and drop editor to create something that's nice looking. You can use a simple editor. It's just rich text emails. They're easy to
Hmm.
read. They're easier for people to load. Up here, if no email address forms here, that's because you don't have anything approved and you
Right.
can't send emails until you do,
Okay.
right? So anyway, and you can use this magic writer. It's got this AI type things. I don't do that for a number of reasons. I have other systems in place that help me create really good emails. And
Hmm.
then you can move any of these blocks around. You can delete them. Usually, in the case of like my regular flow emails, I just don't have an image in here. So I just delete it. But I do have a button. So I have just an email and then the button. Now, when you click in here, you can come in here and change these merge tags if you
Oh,
want.
cool. Yeah,
So
cool.
what I usually do with these is I create one that says first name, or if their name is not in the system, it gives them something. So they don't get that thing that says first name,
First
hi,
name.
first name, because they don't have one in there. So create a default, something like that. Okay. You can add button text. You can edit the button, whatever colors you want, whatever text you want, and put in your URL. Always open in a different tab, all that kind of stuff. You can preview it on mobile or on your desktop,
Cool.
either way. So,
Yay. So you get to see
um,
responsive. Good.
yeah. So yeah, you can do all of that type stuff. Um, And then I'm just going to hit cancel because I want to get out of here. Okay, but you can create all kinds of different emails. Then you can create an A/B test. You create two emails, you can review, and then you basically send it or schedule it, whichever you want to do. Okay. So super easy stuff. Um, really simple. Okay. Um, and then I'm just going to delete this as well. Oh, archive it.
Archive it.
Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, so you can create broadcasts, and then we looked at people. Now let's look at flows because this is the cool thing. Now, first of all, I'm going to show you this quiz flow because it's just
Oh my gosh, that's
super
insane.
cool. But this is, so let me show you what's happening here. Let's zoom in so you can see what's happening here. Is basically as soon as they come in and take a quiz that's on this website, they become a quiz taker. Okay, so what
Uh-huh.
that is, it says, I took the quiz because you can't get to this without taking the quiz. Well, the way you get to taking the quiz is from Forminator, which is a form creator that I use on WordPress. But I have set this up so that there's an API,
Uh-huh.
and then this is a Forminator quiz. So basically, I paste this over in Forminator. If you don't know how to use webhooks, learn because this is the most valuable thing. You can use any program that you already have to bring data into Encharge. Okay.
Right.
So this is I have a Forminator quiz set up on my website. I copied this particular webhook URL into that. Every time somebody finishes that quiz, it brings them in to this process, right? And then basically what it does is it maps the fields. Okay. They get the writer type, which is the part of their quiz. Okay. And that gives them a result. Okay. Um, so that also gives me that information. Okay. And their email address, by this time, they've already become a subscriber, so their email address is already in my system as well. But I add it anyway. Okay. And then I do something. Okay. And then there's a couple people that have already done this. Common step settings. If you want people to only be able to do this step once, right? So you don't want, in this case, I want people to be able to retake the quiz once they've learned things about themselves. But if I don't want them to, I can just click this here and they can only do this once. So they can only go through the sequence once. Okay. But in this case, they can go through it several times if they want. Okay. So now there's an email here that we've created. And let me just show you this email really quick here.
Cool logo, Troy.
I know it is a cool logo. Somebody pretty cool made it for me. Okay, but anyway, so you have all these types of writers that you learn from the quiz, and you click on one of these buttons, and it takes you to a page on my website that tells you more about what writer type you are,
Nice.
right? It tells you that, and then based on that, whatever you clicked in this email, do 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 do
I
do
need to
do
add your,
do.
now that I'm thinking about it, I
Okay,
need to add your website to my website so that people
all
can.
right. So this, every one of these is an email trigger. If they clicked on this URL, which is the one that takes them to the plotter's route, which tells me they're a
Hmm.
plotter, they come through this email sequence.
Look at that. Look at your little arrows and everything. It looks so
And then they
complicated,
come
but
down
it's so
here and they
simple.
get an early bird offer on a course.
Very
They get a second
nice.
offer, but however, if they, oops, um, but if they click on the offer and they buy it, it removes them from the funnel. It's on a separate flow,
Oh,
but actually
nice.
removes
Okay.
them from the funnel. So if you clicked on email one and you already got it, I'm not going to send you three more emails, right?
Good. Yeah.
So at the end, you become just a regular subscriber. You get added to the regular email list. But before that, by the time you get there, you've already done all of these things. So what I'm
Cool.
doing too is in order for you to become a subscriber through this flow, you have to be hit with the offer of my course.
Okay.
Okay. Now there's other ways to become a subscriber, and that's another flow, and that's all that kind of stuff that you can just fill out the form. But many people want this freebie because when you get done with this freebie, it actually also delivers you another freebie that basically says, this is the different types and this is what each one means. Okay. So, um, anyway, so no matter, depending on what you choose here, it sends you into a different flow. Okay. So all that automation is there. And at any point, you can opt out of the flow if you don't want to be in the flow anymore. But it sends you a couple emails that tell you something about your writer type. So it gives you actually really good information and then gives you an offer on the course that nobody else will get. If you go through this quiz flow, you get that offer. So
Nice.
yeah. Anyway, but so you can create all these things. Now, all these steps, one of them is, of course, you come on this email activity and it adds a tag that says hybrid. Okay. And that puts you into a segment that's hybrid. Okay. Then you have a timing thing here where you wait for a couple days before you send the next email. Wait
Mm-hmm.
for 2 days before you send the next email. And then wait for 4 days before you send them this offer. Now, the way the one for the event that we have coming up this summer, the course that we have coming up this summer, the way that is delayed is so that you can't even enter that flow until a certain date. And by the end of it, then you've arrived at the launch date of the course. So, like
Mm-hmm.
you can't enter it too early because otherwise you'll be waiting forever for your next email, right? So we
Right.
don't want people to enter it too early. So we don't even launch that until the point when we want people to go enter it. The arrows you can create these on delivered. So if you can create, let's say I want it to go over there. Oh, I can't. It's not going to let me do that. Anyway, well, we'll do something in a minute. We'll start a new flow. Okay. But this is just these webhooks are a big deal. You can do anything you want, or there's tons of other triggers. In fact, we'll look at those really quick. We'll start a new one, but you can have a time trigger that basically just triggers this at a certain time, it's going to send this, right? If somebody enters a segment, you can have that be the trigger that starts a new flow. If they've been added to a tag, if they've done something, an event on your website or whatever, um, birthday annual trigger, if you have their birthday, that type of thing. This is the important one, receive a webhook. You can also do Encharge form submitted, a track form submitted, or you can do an external form submitted.
Which
Now,
is your
in the
Forminator?
external, yeah, well, no, the formatter comes through the webhook. In fact, let me just
Oh,
get out of
okay.
here. This is dumb. Okay. Um, Let me come to the well, I'm trying to do things in one that's already set up, and it's telling me, no, we don't want you to do that because it can really screw up your flow if somebody's already in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go down. So the external form submitted, there are certain form created with, and there's certain form things that they support.
Oh,
Elementor form
gravity.
stack, yeah, gravity forms. So if you've got gravity forms, then you
Mm-hmm.
can just automatically bring those in here, and then you basically just opt in monster, all that kind of stuff. Now,
Yeah.
even though Forminator isn't on here, I can just bring it in through a webhook. Okay, but
Well, there is a lot though. Yeah.
there's
Look at
all
all of
kinds
them.
of options. So if
Jot
you
form
don't
is
have,
really popular.
or you can just do the webhook URL. Okay, so depending on what you have
So
for a
basically, you're not
system.
limited just because it's not automated. It's not an
You're
automation.
not limited at all as long as it
Yeah.
brings the right kind of data. Like you have type form, but you can use any other type of form too. Now
Gotcha.
you can use MailChimp. Like I said, I'm not sure why you would use MailChimp if you had this, but
Why?
you can.
It feels so redundant. Like
It's
I don't
very
know.
redundant. So I'm not sure why people would do that. But you can do things if people change a field in their profile,
Right.
something like that, you can have that trigger something. Okay. So the ones that I was using before are email activity. So basically you can say any email, um, more resources. Oops, stop that. Um, and then you can say is delivered, bounced, opened, clicked, or
Clicked.
replied to.
Nice.
Right. So if they reply to the email, you can send them an automatic reply that says, "Hey man, I'm really interested. The dude really wants to talk to you, but I'm a busy man, so I gotta go, whatever the case may be." Okay. Um, or I'll get back to you in a couple days or whatever you want to
Right.
say. Okay. Now you can duplicate steps. So if you like that step, but you wanted to arrange it differently and go into a different flow, you can just duplicate them. And
Nice.
you notice that I'm zooming in and out really easily here, just using the track on my mouse and scrolling around by just dragging. So you can see this whole flow. Okay. It's unnamed. You can come down here and name the flow.
Nice.
And you can see it automatically saves it. Now, this little button is how you turn on the flow. You don't want to turn it on until you have everything set up the way you want it to be, right? But
Right.
anyway, so you can do all that. So basically, you can automate all of these things. If you have your customers' birthdays, you can trigger an annual birthday thing that you
Aw,
send them.
happy
You
birthday,
know,
clients.
yeah, you can. I mean, okay. And so then those are the triggers to get things started. And then there are actions. So the action is send an email, wait, add a
Right.
tag. So that's one of the things we were doing with that email flow was certain email activity added a tag, certain other
Hmm.
email activity ends the flow, right?
Right.
You can also do the A/B test, so this tells your thing to go, okay, well, I'm gonna create two variants here, and it's gonna prompt me to do that. And it's gonna say, what variant do you want me to do? That type of
Hmm.
thing. So you can add a variant. You can do three variants if you want. You can do as many as you want, actually, and test as many as you want. And then you can come over here and basically you'll create a couple of emails and, you know, this is going to
Nice.
be variant A, and then this one will tell you this is going to be variant B. Save. Oops, I didn't save that one. Variant A. And that's what it'll tell you on your flow, which one's which. So you can go through and test them however you want.
Nice.
If you have Slack, you can send a Slack notifications more for if you're sending work emails than anything else. If you have your clients' phone numbers, you can send SMS. Because you can
Nice.
have SMS campaigns if you want to. Now, I'm not terribly excited by that, but this one, Facebook, you can add to your Facebook audience.
Cool.
So that's a kind of a cool thing you can do. If you have Salesforce or something like that, you can create a lead, a contract. It archive the person. This is if you check their email activity, like the filters, you come in here, check their email activity, they haven't opened anything for a really long time, then you can go, okay, I just want to archive that person you know
Yeah.
if they booked a meeting with you with Calendly or various things, you can do that. Is in a segment, so if you want to separate this out by segments and say of these people that choose A, I only want the ones that are in this segment, you know um
Hmm.
I can say on delivered, I only want the ones that are in this segment to go to the next step. So you can customize this. There's tutorials online. You can customize this in a ton of different ways. You can add annotation and notes, especially if you have team members. So you can say, hey, fix this step, or I like this, or whatever you want to do. Okay.
Yeah.
So tons and tons of things you can do in the flows. This is the most important thing is that you can use any tool and do almost anything in the flow. There's a little bit, you can auto arrange your steps using it uses kind of an AI type thing, that type of thing. And then if you want to close this, you can see your whole workflow. You just basically close that, and then you can zoom out like those big ones that I had. I can zoom out and see all the
Yeah.
different
See the
steps that
whole
are in that
flow.
flow. Okay, so anyway, this is a quick tour of Encharge. There's all kinds of detailed things we could go over. Again, drag and drop email editor, super nice. The ability to do broadcasts, flows, all that kind of stuff. Set up tons and tons of emails. All those subscribers you can get for lifetime. If you have a huge list, then hey, get on the
That's
huge list.
that is huge.
You
Yeah.
know,
Like, I mean, it's so
lifetime
good. It's
because I can
lifetime.
have, well, and think of this. Okay. So you go down and you can have I can have a certain number of sub accounts, right? I can manage these
Hmm.
accounts. I think I can have, I don't remember, 12. I can have 12 sub accounts, right? So if I have 25,000 subscribers, well, even if I don't get all of those on my Troy Lambert stories or my solitaire, between all of these, I can get 25,000 people. So I can
Yeah.
divide it up among them as much as they want. And if some of these
So,
people are also here, they only count once, no matter how
yeah,
many different things they're in.
the tier five right now is $550 for lifetime. That is
Mhm.
insane in terms of savings. Like, that is
Yeah. You're going to pay
25,000
that
subscribers.
if you have 25,000 subscribers with
Th-
MailChimp, you're going to pay that in 3 months.
Yeah, that is
It's gonna, so this is basically what you're gonna pay in about 3 months, no matter what level you are, is
right.
what you're gonna pay in about 3 months for another mail service, you're gonna pay for a lifetime with Encharge. And like this
Mm-hmm.
company's been around for a long time. They have new owners, so they've recently been purchased, but they've been around since 2020. That's when I originally bought this program.
Yeah.
Um, so they've been around a long time. They're likely going to stay around for a long time. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to worry about that aspect of things as well. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, a quick view of Encharge. I hope you guys liked that. I hope it
I
was
love
helpful.
that's a lot of
Um,
info. Like, there's so many options, and like you could dig into each one of those things. It's some of these things are so advanced. I think a lot of authors it might make their head swim, but there's a lot of
mhm.
information
Oh,
that, and like I said, YouTube
yeah.
University is amazing, but a lot of this stuff is
Well,
universal. And so if you've been doing this stuff in another system, you're going to kind of understand and know
it's
how this
kind of
is
the
working
same,
here. Mm-hmm.
but the other advice I always give people with new software is use what you need to use right now. You
Mm-hmm.
may never have 12 sub accounts on
Right.
this program, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to. Like, don't create a sub account for everything just because you think you might need it at some point. These are all just very distinct businesses, very distinct email addresses, very
Right.
distinct things, right? You very often authors will only have one. I have one, two, three, four domains verified through this system so far. You may only ever have one. Cool.
Right.
Awesome. That's amazing. Do that. Okay.
Right.
So it only use this site track if you know what it does and what you want it to do. If you don't want to use it right away because you don't know what you would use that for, then don't. It doesn't
Right.
really matter.
Right.
So anyway, don't use any of the apps that you, if they're all confusing to you, if you come over here and you have no idea what HubSpot is, well, then don't use that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't
Exactly.
make any
Just it
difference.
what's great about this is it's those integrations are there if you have them and you need them. So that's great.
Yep, it's a fantastic program. Highly recommend it on all the different levels. And if you have, again, if you have questions or whatever, I do consultations on stuff like this. Again, I'm not cheap, but I am easy and I can be tricked. But
Oh, I'm
so
not
yeah,
cheap, but I'm
so
easy. Yeah.
but I'm easy.
That makes all kinds of
Yeah.
sense.
So anyway, this is just it's a quick overview of Encharge. I hope that it helps you see what the things that you need to do and that you might need to do
Yeah.
with
I
it.
wonder
Um,
how long is this going on for?
we never
It's
know. With AppSumo, we don't know. So as long as this
yeah.
video is up and in the description it says AppSumo, great. If not, when it goes off of AppSumo deal, I may just switch this to their regular affiliate program.
Yeah.
Even at the
Hmm.
regular affiliate program and even at the regular rates, it's not terrible compared to what you're going to pay for
No,
MailChimp or MailerLite or whatever the
not for
case
the
may be.
amount of
It's still a
subscribers.
cheap deal. It's
Hmm.
just not as cheap. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's pretty much it.
That's
So.
awesome. Well, thanks, Troy. That's awesome. Yeah, that's gonna hopefully make a lot of people excited about doing email marketing.
Yep. Again, anyway, there will be a link in the comments below or in the description below to Encharge. It is an affiliate link. I get a few shekels if you go grab it, but if you don't go grab it off of AppSumo right now and you need an email provider, like you don't have this through some other method for a lifetime deal, you should grab it. It's
Yeah.
something that you'll have forever. And then like and subscribe. Stay tuned to this channel. We'll have all kinds of other software reviews and some
Yay.
comparison things that we'll do and things like that. So to look at the different software that authors can use and what that looks like. So stay tuned for that. And with that, everybody, we'll
Awesome.
see you next time.
Thanks, Troy.